You know what's really wild when you stop and think about it? One of the biggest, most legendary movie stars of our time, Johnny Depp, recently called himself a sucker when it came to love. Yeah, that Johnny Depp. The man behind Captain Jack Sparrow. The face of so many beloved characters. The guy people around the world grew up watching. And yet here he is, openly admitting that he got swept up in love so fast, so hard, that he didn't see the warning signs. That kind of honesty? You don't hear that every day. Especially not from someone who's lived their entire life in the spotlight. But maybe that's why it hits so hard. Because behind the fame, behind the headlines, behind the flashy movie roles and red carpets, he's just a person. Just like the rest of us. Someone who fell in love, made mistakes, and now looks back wondering how it all went so wrong. And honestly, haven't we all been there in some way? Falling head over heels, thinking we found the one, only to slowly realize we were ignoring red flags? Thinking that love would magically fix everything, only to find ourselves picking up the pieces when it didn't? It's like being in a dream that turns into a storm. At first, it's magical. Everything seems perfect. You can't stop smiling, you're texting each other all the time, and it feels like you're in a rom-com. Then, slowly, or sometimes suddenly, things shift. You start to question things. You feel tension. Confusion. Hurt. And before you know it, the fairy tale is gone and you're left wondering what just happened. That's what Johnny Depp seems to be describing. Not just a celebrity breakup, but a deeply personal unraveling of a relationship he really believed in. So let's unpack it. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard first met on the set of a movie called The Rum Diary. That's where it all began. Sparks flew. You could see it, even just watching interviews from that time. There was chemistry. Intensity. A magnetic pull. And when that kind of connection happens, it's hard to ignore. They fell for each other. Hard. And fast. They started dating. They seemed inseparable. And by 2015, they were married. On the outside, it looked like a classic Hollywood romance. Two beautiful, talented actors finding love in the most glamorous way. Red carpets, exotic vacations, sweet moments captured by paparazzi. It all seemed so picture-perfect. But what we see from the outside isn't always what's really going on, right? Sometimes, the more perfect it looks, the more pain is hiding behind the scenes. Within just a year, by 2016, things had already taken a turn. Amber filed for divorce, and along with it came serious accusations. Allegations of abuse. Legal fights. Tabloid headlines. And then came the lawsuits, Johnny suing for defamation, Amber countersuing. It was messy. Very public. And very painful. Millions of people watched as their legal battles unfolded in front of cameras. It wasn't just a private breakup anymore, it became a global spectacle. The trial had everything: emotional testimony, shocking recordings, dramatic footage, and so much commentary from social media and news outlets that it became hard to separate fact from fiction. People took sides. Some believed Johnny. Others believed Amber. There were hashtags, reaction videos, TikToks, even memes. It was like a cultural event. But for Johnny? It was his real life. His pain. His heartbreak. And his reputation on the line. Now, after all that, after years of legal back and forth, courtroom drama, and endless media scrutiny, Johnny is finally opening up. And what he's saying isn't angry or defensive. It's vulnerable. Surprisingly gentle. And maybe even a little sad. He looked back on the whole experience and said something incredibly simple, but powerful. I was a sucker. Just 3 words. But they carry so much weight. Think about that. One of the most recognizable faces in the world, someone who's been in the public eye for decades, someone who's dealt with fame, pressure, and countless high-stakes moments, is calling himself a sucker. Not for being fooled in a movie deal. Not for making a bad career move. But for love. It's humbling, really. And relatable. Because how many of us have looked back on a past relationship and thought, wow, I really didn't see that coming? Or, why did I stay so long? Or even, what was I thinking? Johnny said he believed that love could conquer all. He thought that if he just loved hard enough, stayed committed, and gave everything he had, things would work out. That all the problems, all the drama, all the pain, they could be overcome. He really, truly believed in the relationship. He thought the passion and the love were enough. That maybe, with time, things would get better. But they didn't. And that's what makes his comment so powerful. Because it's not just about feeling foolish. It's about realizing that sometimes, love isn't enough. Sometimes, love blinds us. Sometimes, it tricks us into thinking we're building something real, when what we're actually doing is chasing an illusion. Johnny said he ignored the red flags. And we all know what that's like. There's a part of us that wants to believe the best in someone. Especially when we care about them. We don't want to admit that something's wrong. We don't want to confront the hard truth. So we make excuses. We downplay things. We hold on tighter, hoping that things will magically change. But the truth is, intensity isn't the same as intimacy. And just because there's fire doesn't mean there's warmth. Just because you're caught up in a whirlwind romance doesn't mean you're truly connected at a deep, healthy level. Johnny's story reminds me of that friend we all know, the one who falls in love super fast. They meet someone, and suddenly they're convinced it's fate. They're talking about moving in together, naming future kids, planning weddings after like 2 weeks. And then, before you know it, everything blows up. The fights start. The tears. The confusion. The pain. And it's like watching a beautiful fire burn out in real time. That's kind of what Johnny went through. Only it wasn't just between him and Amber. It was on display for the whole world. And now, when he talks about it, there's this interesting mix of regret and acceptance. He's not raging. He's not blaming. He's just reflecting. Laughing at himself a little. In that way we do when we've grown and healed and we're finally able to say, yeah, that was rough, but I made it through. There's something kind of beautiful about that. Because healing isn't about pretending it didn't happen. It's not about erasing the past. It's about owning your story. Saying, I messed up. I got hurt. I learned. And now I'm moving forward. And that's what Johnny seems to be doing. He's not seeking revenge. He's not playing the victim. He's just telling his truth. And that takes courage. So what can we actually take away from all this? Well, a few things stand out. First, like Johnny said, red flags don't turn green. You can't love someone into being better. You can't fix someone who isn't ready to change. If something feels off, if there's disrespect, manipulation, or emotional chaos, it's not your job to make it right. Love shouldn't feel like walking on eggshells. Second, we have to stop confusing drama with love. Real love is steady. It's calm. It brings peace. Not confusion. Not anxiety. Not fear. It's not about butterflies all the time. Sometimes, the strongest relationships are the quietest ones. The ones that don't feel like fireworks, but like home. And third, healing isn't weakness. It's strength. It's so easy to get stuck in shame after a bad relationship. To beat yourself up for staying too long or not seeing the signs. But we're human. We're wired for connection. We want to believe in love. And sometimes, that means we make mistakes. That's okay. What matters is what we do after. Do we grow? Do we learn? Do we become more honest with ourselves? Johnny seems to be doing that. Slowly. Honestly. And with a little humor. And here's something really interesting. One therapist explained that when people make jokes like Johnny's "I was a sucker" comment, it's often their way of processing pain. Humor becomes a shield. A way to talk about something raw without falling apart. It's vulnerability disguised as a smile. You can hear that in Johnny's voice. He's not laughing because it's funny. He's laughing because he's made peace with it. He's moved on. And now, he can share that experience without shame. And that's powerful. So, let me ask you. Have you ever been there? Have you ever loved someone who turned out to be nothing like what you thought? Have you ever ignored your gut because your heart was louder? Maybe you stayed too long. Maybe you wanted it to work so badly that you lost yourself in the process. If that's you, you're not alone. Even someone like Johnny Depp has been there. Even someone who's rich, famous, successful, can fall for the wrong person. Can lose themselves in love. Can be a sucker. And if you feel like sharing, I'd love to hear your story. Drop it in the comments. You never know who you might help by speaking your truth. If this video gave you something to think about, or made you feel a little less alone, hit that like button. It helps the channel, and it means a lot. And if you want more content like this, real talk, honest stories, a mix of emotion and insight, go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Actually, there's another video I think you'd really like. It's all about why toxic relationships are so hard to leave. It goes into the psychology of it. Why our brains get attached, why we make excuses, why it's so hard to walk away even when we know we should. It might help you understand yourself a little better. Or help you support someone you care about. Thanks for spending this time with me. Really. It means a lot. Take care of yourself. Protect your peace. And remember, we're all just doing the best we can. If Johnny Depp can be honest about his mistakes, maybe we can too. I'll see you in the next one.